Okay, I'm Jadi, and our free LPIC sessions, you saw how you can view your files. Now we are going to select parts of the files. In the previous section, we saw the cat, its friends like zcat for opening gz files, less to see page by page, od to, not to od, but to octal dump a file. Now we are going to see some commands which are specialized in choosing parts of files. One of them is split. Always it's good to check the man pages, start reading them. In the beginning it might look difficult, but it's easy. Split a file into pieces. This is how it works. Split, maybe some options, maybe one file, maybe a prefix. This means maybe. So if you don't give it a file, it will try to read from standard input. So we'll wait for your keyboard unless you had some command here, piped it to split. So it was telling the split to get your input from this command's output. So output pieces of file to prefix AAA, prefix AB. Default is 1000 lines and default prefix is X. So if I just run split on Alice and then ls, where are my files? These are my files. Default is X, so this is the first 1000 lines, this is the second 1000 lines, third 1000 lines, 4000 lines. Not very beautiful. So I can RM all of this. I can say split Alice, give it a prefix, Alice parts. Now it's nicer. Alice parts AA, Alice parts AB, these are the first 1000 lines. I don't want 1000 lines, so I want lazy and I just want to read 10 lines a day. 10 is too small. I will read 100 lines a day. So I will RM whatever ouch! I remove the Alice itself, but no problem. I can git stash. If you don't know about the git, this is fine, but I return back to where I was. So I have Alice again here. I can say split lines, 100 lines per part. I want to split Alice and I want to have Alice book. Now every section do have 100 lines. This is good to splitting a file into different parts. Even there are cases when you have a 10 gigabyte file and you want to move it to somewhere else. This is too large to be copied anywhere. It's 100 gigabytes. You can split it to 10 gigabytes parts. Let's have a look at the switches. Man split. First we can say split by -b. So you can say -b 10, I believe you can say gigabytes or the 10G. You have to try. Or you can say something which is very useful is -l. You split by lines if this is text. Or -n, split to chunks. You say, I want to make 10 files of this. So it will calculate what should go where. This is one of the coolest one. Also, you can do a -d to use numeric suffixes starting at blah blah. So I want to split Alice into 3 parts. I can say split -d, don't use AA, AB, AC, use 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, much nicer. And I want to split in 3 parts. I want to split Alice and I want to call them book parts. Now it's nice. Into 3 parts, 0, 1, and 2, and that's it. RM book. This is very useful. If you want to revert it, you can say cat, because this concatenates files, books into complete book, and this will combine all files into one book again. I will delete this and this. So this was split. Very interesting, and this is the way to get your initial file back. Something else which is super useful daily is head and tail. You can guess head and tail. We have a book which is called Alice. This is a large book. So I will say head of Alice. It will give me the first 10 lines. If I do tail of Alice, it will give me the last 10 lines of this document. It works on mainly text because we are talking about lines, although it will work, but it will consider as a line if you have a binary file. So head and tail are super useful. If I do a man head, you will see a couple of switches, not much. -C will tell print first bytes of each file, not the lines. If you do -N, it will say how many lines. By default, it is 10, but you can add something more. So you can say head -5 Alice or head -N5 Alice, and it will give you the first 5 lines. If you check the man of tail, you will have one very, very important switch, -F. Follow. Output appends data as the file grows. This happens a lot of time. You have a log file, you're running a program. This is your log file. You are running this program. Your program will add something to this log as it is working all the time. If you do a tail, it will show you only this. So if I want to check the log files, I have to do it all the time. I have a log here, which is not growing anymore, but I can say cat log. For example, this is a log of my donations. I would dream. But if you want to donate, you can go to linuxfirst.com/support, I believe, hopefully. But cat logs will show you the logs. If I do the tail logs, it will show me the last 10 lines. This is less than 10 lines, so it shows everything. But if this was growing, I had to do this all the time to see if anything new happens. But for this, you have tail-f logs. This is something most of the system admins use daily. This waits, and if something adds to this file, any new line, you will show it here. So if something adds to this logs files, you will show it here live. This is a very common use case. Sometimes we press some enters to make sure that we are connected and nothing new comes. But if something happens, it will be added here. We use this a lot. You will use this a lot. If you're checking a log, if anything happens there, do a tail-f name of the log. And the last command on modifying I have is the cut command. Up to now, whatever I was showing you was working based on the lines, not on the columns. Let's have a look at the same file we had here. I have a logs here. This is a CSV format, kind of CSV format, comma separated values. These are some values separated by a comma. So what I'm doing, I want to just select the second part. I can say cut. My delimiter, my separator is a comma, and I want fields 1, field 2. Which file? Log. It will use this as a delimiter. Okay. So I have 2 different parts, and I'm looking for field 2. This is field 1, this is field 2. So this way I can separate a file into different columns based on a separator and then choose what I want to see. It was possible to tell it that I want field 2, 8, and 10 if I had 10 fields. Or it was possible to say I want fields 1, 2, 3, up to 4, and 7. And my delimiter is space. Space is a special case because you have to tell it somehow that I'm talking about space. So you put it in double quote or a single quote. If I do this, I will get everything because it cannot cut correctly these things. Anyway, this was the cut command. You can cut based on bytes, say every 3 bytes, separate them and I want the second column, or based on characters, or with a delimiter, or with any other method you want. For example, if I have this, now I can tell it that I want to cut based on characters, and I want character 3, 4, and 5, and character 5, 6, 7, and 8. Not very meaningful, but let's do it. Cut based on characters, characters 3 till 5 on logs will give me characters 3 to 5. I can tell it I also want character 9. You can see what I'm doing. If it's useful in your case, you can work on it. But this is a CSV file, so separating based on the comma is more common. This was the cut. And that's it. Let's go for modifying the streams.